Okay, I found a fix for our problem. I went and got the old bearing, and it apparently was the same exact way, and I didn't really like that, so I did a little modification. Our oil pumps at the back of the motor, or actually the oil pumps at the front of the motor on this motor, but I didn't want the bearing to starve, so what I did was chamfered the hole instead of the bearing. I don't know if you can see that. Oops, focus. Focus. Boom. My camera's really sucking. I don't know if you can see that. I chamfered the hole backwards so the bearing would be, the oil will be directed to the hole instead of coming up and just hitting that bearing and having to force through that little opening there. The center main, which is the thrust bearing on this motor, lines up perfect, and so on. Even the rear bearing, all the alignment was decent. The two front ones were crappy, so I chamfered both those holes. Don't know if you can see that, it's not zooming very good. There we go. I chamfered the hole in the main over to the hole in the bearing, and I think that'll definitely give us some better oil flow to the mains, at least on those two bearings. So we'll go ahead and move on from there. We're going to install our rear seal next. This is the one that came in the kit. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys back on the stand. That's the kind of shit that you don't fix, man. It'll bite you in the ass. Probably would have been fine for the normal operation RPM of the motor, but we're going to twist it past that now. So any kind of little improvements you can do like that will definitely give the motor life. I was telling you a little about the funny car team stuff. I worked for the first guy. Me and Andrea had just got married, and a friend of mine had a cylinder head shop, and we happened to be at the races in Orlando, and he was trying to get business. You know, he was walking through seeing if anybody needed anything done, and we came across this guy, Terry Mullins, and they torched the head off their car, and my buddy actually welded the head up and surfaced it and valve jobbed it and brought it back the next morning for the guy. And he asked me if I wanted to help put it on, and I'm like, hell yeah, I want to help put it on. So that's how that started. I helped him at that race, and we ended up winning that race. It was a Division II race at Orlando Speed World, and it was my home track, so that was really cool. Got to be around a lot of people I knew, and I thought that was going to be my big day, you know. And like I said, me and Andrea had just gotten married 2 weeks prior to that, and that was a lifelong dream for me to even, you know, just touch some of those parts. Well, he asked me if I would work for him, and I'm like, yeah, right, you know. So the Gator Nationals were coming up 3 weeks later after this division race, and I got a job at one of the best body shops in town. Andrea was working at a Lexus dealership, and she got me in at this premier shop in town. All they do is like Lexus, BMW, you know, all the high-end stuff. And I was working there for about 2 weeks, and you know, I don't have a lot of buddies, so I'm working away, and I get a phone call, and they're like, you have a phone call? And I'm like, a phone call? So I go to the phone, and it's Terry Mullins. He's like, hey, we want you to come work for us. We have you a hotel room, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, holy shit. So I called Andrea, and told her that I got the phone call from Terry Mullins. And she told me that I needed to quit my job because I'd never get an opportunity to do that again. That's not a killer wife. I don't know what is. Like I said, we've been married for all of 2 weeks, we'd lived together for 6 years before we got married, so she knew how important it was to me. And so I quit my job, and the guys there were so pissed off that they wouldn't even help me load my toolbox. And I had a 944 Porsche at the time, and I remember emptying my tools out and loading that thing into that car. I couldn't get it in there fast enough. And I drove to Gainesville, and the race got rained out. And I ended up not having a job for a week until I rescheduled the race. And I went from Gainesville to Tennessee, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. I lived there for a while. And I worked for Terry Mullins for about 6 months, I guess. Well, maybe about 8, I don't know. And when they went to the Whipple Superchargers, I got traded for a fuel tune-up to another team. And that's how the funny car thing got started. It was by chance. Just like everything in life. I really loved that job. And when I left to go work for them, I had no kids. And I really didn't want kids. And Andrea wanted kids. And they promised her that they would make me a family man while I was gone. And I didn't really plan on having kids. It just happened that way. I came home we'd fly home every couple weeks. And I flew home, and I hadn't seen her for a while, and we ended up making my son. And that was the end of that. I had to come home and get a real job, because although I made decent money, I ended up working for one of the top teams. And I learned a lot from the second guy I worked for. I mean, he was the top in the field. He had the world record at the time, 2 years in a row. And it was just an awesome experience, but they didn't have cell phones back then, so I had a hellacious phone bill. And I missed my dogs, and I missed my wife, and I missed the people that I thought were my friends. And the second guy that I went to work for, he had 2 kids that raced. And I actually worked for his son, and his daughter raced the Top Fuel dragster. And I sort of saw, that even though the man had almost all the money in the world, I thought, even though he had a very interesting story, on how he got the money. The amazing thing to me was the relationship that he had with his kids, and he was happiest when they did good. And I was like, man, that's cool. Maybe I'd like to have a kid someday and race with him and stuff. But my son doesn't like racing at all. But anyway, I saw the bond that he had with his family, and I thought, hey man, maybe a family's not a bad thing to have. So when I came home, I concentrated on making a family. And I was pretty burned out on the racing after a couple years. And when I came home, I didn't even want to see a racetrack. The only problem was I lived right behind the racetrack. So, all my stuff seemed like it was going backwards after that. We used to ride around in the semi, and I would talk to the particular guy, and I'd ask him, what kind of hot rod did you have when you were a kid? And he's like, I didn't have a hot rod. I have a Toyota Corolla. And he went from a Toyota Corolla to an alcohol funny car. But the guy was a freaking genius, man. He always had the computer and a laptop and the charts and the graphs, and he was always splitting gear ratios and calculating this and that, and he was the master, man. And I would pick his brain about Volkswagen stuff, and he never knew about a Volkswagen at all. And I came home and did a few of the things that he told me about, that he thought might work. And I think when I left, my car ran like 1130s, and I did a few things that he taught me, and the car went 10s, O's. So a lot of it crosses over. A lot of the knowledge I'll never use again because, you know, not a lot of people around here have alcohol funny cars. All right, I'm going to try to pick this crank up and set it into the bearings here, nice and easy. It's a heavy mold, so I don't know. I haven't built a lot of motors since the arm thing. Let me wipe this down a little bit. Being that this is Florida, I washed all this stuff yesterday and it's rusty today. So anyway, you guys get to see the motor side. I love building motors, man. My first job for the second guy that I worked for was assembling 4 motors. And I built a couple big blocks in my life, you know, maybe a couple small blocks, a lot of Volkswagen motors. And what was funny was the Volkswagen stuff kept crossing over, you know, when you have to calculate rod ratio or compression ratio or degree of cam. It was all the stuff that I learned at the Volkswagen shop. And, you know, the better I got to know Randy, or the more we talked about my experience and stuff, and he was just amazed. They offered me a job assembling motors in California for the dyno room, to run the dyno, and I just couldn't swing it, man. I was too young. I didn't have the money to make the move across country. And at the time, an apartment efficiency in California was close to $1,100 a month, and I think I was making about $6. So I just couldn't do the math. And looking back, I don't know, everything probably would have been completely different. I probably would have never got back into doing the bodywork stuff. It was when I came back from that and my son was born that I became a body man. So I painted a couple funny cars while I was up in Tennessee. And the guy I worked for in Tennessee, I need to go up to Tennessee and do a visit. It's Oak Ridge Tool and Die. They do a lot of cool stuff there. It's a real cool little town. And he ended up building a top fuel car, top fuel dragster, and the top fuel car it eats so much cash, man. If you don't have $1 million sponsor, you can forget about racing. Fuzzy Carter, who was Eddie Hill's crew chief, ended up crew chiefing for him, and they made some good runs on the car, but it never was really competitive. So Fuzzy Carter died shortly after he went to work for Terry. He got cancer, and he passed on, and it really affected Terry. And I think he hadn't raced since. So as far as I know, the top fuel car is sitting there. It was a cool time, man. Those guys taught me a lot of stuff, and I'll never forget those lessons. And close my eyes and it's like I'm there. But everything happens for a reason. So if I ever win the lottery, I'll know what the hell I'm doing. I know who to call. I know where to get my shit. And I used to try to get to used parts all the time, and I never did understand. Well, what do you want to do with that, Orlando? Our Magilla Gorilla. That was my nickname. So it's pretty cool. The one guy I work for consults on different teams now. So every once in a while I'll go up to the Gator Nationals. It's not too far away from here, and say hi to everybody. And my wife hates it because I usually end up working. And I don't know, I just love that shit. I would do it all the time if I could. I figure I got to stay where the money's at, where the family's at, because as much as I want to do it, I know what I'm going to be missing. A lot of guys say, man, you're crazy. I can't believe you did that. You don't do it anymore. Well, when you're looking for somewhere to eat every night at midnight and washing your clothes in the middle of the night, and of course you're staying at hotels with other guys that are doing the same thing you are, so you're fighting for the washer and dryer usually. It gets a little old. And then a lot of times, you know, the people that are around you are very spoiled. So it's hard to see the excess while you're on a budget. Because you definitely go in budget mode when you're on the road. So that's why I like to stay close to home. That's why Gaten isn't real happy with me right now. He wanted me to go with him. That's 7 days, man. It's a long time with no YouTube. I mean, think of the videos that guys wouldn't have. So, I don't know. All right, a little trick on these FE motors. Gotta put a little silicone down there, a little dab on each side of the main bearing or seal, or it will leak on you. So, we're gonna put a little dabby. If I can find my silicone. So I made some long ass videos today, so that sucks, huh? Sometimes shit just takes a while. You're a brown dog out there playing or eating somebody. I'm having a silicone difficulty here. Let me get some silicone flow in here. Alrighty, we're getting to the good stuff now. One more chop and we'll have it. Boom. Little dab will do. You don't need a whole lot of this stuff here. That's what I'm talking about, little dab on each side on the corners of the seal. Yeah, this block design is very similar to what we worked with in the alcohol cars. I like a little Loctite on my main bolts if you're not using studs. Like I said, this application here, we're not really pushing the envelope. So. Basically, we're gonna get this crank in here. We'll get it torqued down and hope it still spins. I sent this crank back out It had some issues. Still don't really like this crank, but I was assured that it'd be fine. So I'm taking the guy's at his word. The local machine shop in town seems to do pretty decent work. I do my own heads now since I got screwed and tattooed so hard. But if I wouldn't have got screwed, I'd still be paying somebody, so, you know, there's a reason for everything. Just sucked that it was a friend. I never charge my friends to build motors usually. Well, I don't have any friends anymore, so, except my YouTube buddies. But last particular associate built a big block for. Built 54 with a actually with a 396 crank in it, steel crank, 60 over, 431 cubic inches. It's a bad combination, man. Thing turns about, I don't know, 8 grand. Well, it had a set of factory rods in it. We put a set of good bolts in there, and I built the motor the first time and deburred the block. Went through all the pains. We need to set the thrust right now. Let me get a screwdriver. Did all this stuff for him. Set it up. You know, he complained about all the shit I was doing. It wasn't necessary. You know. I said, just let me do what I do. And I built that motor, and it lasted for 8 years. The car ran 1050s with no spray. Well, they decided that they wanted to race the street car stuff, so they put a kit on it. 250 kit, and the car went 990s, and they figured, hey man, that worked really good, let's put another kit on there. So they stacked 2 plates, and on this stock rod steel crank, heavy ass TRW piston motor, which was well at its limit at the 1050 level. So after running this thing with the 2 kits on there, they bent a rod up, took the cylinder out. So he was working at a machine shop. They sleeved the block in the one hole, and he accumulated all the shit to put the motor together. And I didn't build a whole lot of motors when I was on the painkiller train, just because you just can't think straight enough, you know. And he insisted that I give him a hand with this motor, and I said okay, because I'm stupid like that. And he came over to the house, brought the motor, and he slept there for the weekend. And I had already assembled the motor once, of course, but we were putting Corella rods in it this time, so we were changing everything. So after checking all the side clearance and building the bottom end and all the shit, you know, and taking my pokey ass time that he wasn't appreciating, I went up to eat dinner, and when I came back down, the motor was assembled, the top of the motor. He had already put the intake manifold, the lifters, the cam. I had already had the cam and the gear drive set up, but he put the lifters and the rocker arms and, you know, the top of the motor together. And I adjusted the valves and everything felt fine. Well, everything wasn't fine. I took the car to the track, and it ran 11 flats at 1050, and it had an intermittent miss. And this guy's the kind of guy that didn't want to take the valve cover off to adjust the valves, much less, you know, find the problem. So he continues to run it, ill-advised. Runs it. I don't hear a thing from him. Well, then I hear through the grapevine that the car don't run anymore. They took it apart and they found the problem. And the problem was there was a lifter and backwards. Well, alrighty guys, I told you I worked for an alcohol funny car team for 2 fucking years. We built the motor every pass. So I think I know how the lifters go. He, on the other hand, is a machinist that did cylinder heads, that doesn't build motors every day. And I guess it's a mistake that you can make. And he talked shit about me. And I had him do a set of heads for this particular motor right here. And he charged me $525 to do the cylinder heads. And I'll take it, I never charged him a penny to build any of his motors. But he charged me, stuck it in my ass, and I paid it graciously. And I was porting the heads, and I didn't quite have them done when he came. And I wanted to take the heads back apart when I got them back, and he said, no, finish them. And I told him they were finished. And of course, I took them apart when I got them home, and he fucked me. You know, well, excuse the language. Sorry, Victor, if you're watching, you shouldn't use bad language. The valves were all pitted from sitting. You know, issues that I knew were there. The heads were in fairly good shape. They had already been surfaced once. They'd had the hardened seats put in them already. So we cut them for bigger springs, and we did a few things. But he ended up charging me out the ass, and then I ended up having to take the heads apart and buy valves for them and, you know, fix them correctly. But he charged me exactly what a set of lifters and cam would cost. So I always say that karma's a bitch. And him and some buddies that know better put it together, and seems like they didn't clean everything real good. And it's got 200 pounds of oil pressure. On a Nova with a big block in it, you have to pull the motor out to get the pan off. So apparently when he was at my house harassing me all the time, he didn't notice that I cleaned all the shit really good. You know, you always want to take the oil pump apart, check the bypass plunger in it, make sure that it's not seized up, because if it doesn't bypass, it'll have excessive oil pressure. I'm sure you guys know that now. They're motor assemblers. They're not motor builders. That's why my Volkswagen's a couple seconds faster than his Nova. But we're gonna build our old junk Nova and go out there and make a few passes with it too. But yeah. So as far as I know, that car's just sitting there with everything in it, waiting to get the oil pump taken back out. But it's funny how shit works out. I'm really curious. I sort of wanted it to run just to see how fast it is. That was the Matco torque wrench. I'm not liking that torque. We're going to step this up to 80 pounds. Alrighty, I was talking to Tommy Shoe today. Called him to tell him thank you for the fan. And, we got talking about YouTube. People leaving negative comments about certain people. And, I'm pretty sure, man, the group of guys that watch my channel that leave comments, they don't leave negative comments. They're all trying to learn from each other and you know, be as positive as we can. I know that I told Tommy that I first started watching YouTube, I wasn't subscribed to YouTube and I couldn't comment or rate the video. I watched for a year or two like that. The first guy I saw was James Freddy, Photo Finish. And I just restored my car. I did a 56 Volkswagen. And I thought I did a pretty good job. I mean, I've been doing this for a while now. And up comes James Freddy there, Jeff. And this guy, you know, he ain't missing a lick, dude. I mean, he's doing things that I didn't even think of. And I was like, man, I need to watch this guy. He's got shit to teach me. And here I am, an old dog, thought I knew everything. And, you know, I don't know how old Jeff is, but I don't think he's a real old guy. And for the knowledge that that guy has at the age he is now, if he stays in the business, man, he's going to be a wealth of knowledge. Not that he already isn't. I think you can ask him any question and he can give you a really knowledgeable response. I love it when he comments on my videos because he's one of the guys that I definitely look up to. I think he's one of the, I guess, forefathers of the movement, I would say. Got me into it, got me making videos. Well, actually, Gaten got me making videos because he got my computer set up. I'm dyslexic, so I don't know if a lot of you guys know that. That's how I got into working on cars. That's what they used to do with us kids that couldn't read and spell. They'd put us in shop class, which was fine with me. But so that's where it all started, from being stupid to begin with. I think we all have something to learn. I think we can all teach each other stuff. And if you're gonna leave a negative comment, man, just make it constructive. Try to put it into a question. And the guys that are learning out there right now, you know, I mean, these guys that are making these videos, I mean, like Jeff, Slow SRT, they're making a living doing this. I mean, they're taking their time and showing you how to do it, man. And you can bet that they're telling you the right thing. I mean, that's how they're paying their bills. That's what they do every day. So you guys watch those channels, try not to leave negative comments. Remember that, you know, if you don't like one of our videos or you don't like what somebody says, I mean, they're taking the time to make that video so you can have something to watch and maybe possibly learn from it. That's how the crank should turn right there, man. That's sweet. It's going to be a zinger here. So we're on our way to that 1 horsepower per cubic inch. That's going to be the end of this video. We got our crank in here. Got our main bearings torqued down. The next step will be to put our rods in. I wanted to show you guys something on these rods I thought was pretty cool. This is a technique that they used back in the old days, I guess, when you couldn't buy replacement parts. It's where the term pink rod came from. In the Chevrolet world, they used to do this to some of the high performance engines to get the clearances more tight. You see this brass color here. This is what they did, was hard chrome the big end of this rod so they could resize it to the proper size. Rather than cut the cap and make the hole like an egg, they spray weld or dip these in hard chrome and then they remachine the rod so the hole's the proper size. And that's a dying form there. You don't see that at a lot of machine shops. I mean, it's a process where you have to send the rod out and have it hard chromed, and then the machining process is time consuming also. So somebody took some time on this motor at one time, and hopefully she'll be a good one. Pins are also floated. They bush the rods, and the pins are full floaters, so that'll give us a little bit of power there. And of course the camshaft is the heart of the engine, opening and closing the valve, and that controls how much fuel and air goes into the motor, and of course the power that you make in the end. Motor is basically a big air compressor. The only thing that controls the CFM that the motor will flow is the cylinder head. That's why we port the cylinder head, and that's why we open the camshaft or increase the size of the camshaft to open the valve further, which is what gives us the increased RPM range and power of the engine. So we need to get some brass freeze plugs for this bad boy, and we're on our way to getting this buttoned up. We'll get our cylinder heads finished and we'll get these rods and pistons in. Probably tomorrow we'll do a video on that, and then I'll button up the bottom end. I think we got to order an oil pan for this. Other than that, we're on our way, man. So this is the first one. We'll get this one done and we'll get this out of here, and we'll put the big block up here next. We're going to be doing a 454 with a mild set of oval port heads, and we'll do a mild, probably it's going to be a solid cam, but it'll be a smaller cam. I was thinking about maybe going with a hydraulic roller, but I just don't have the $600 to change it over and retrofit the block. So we'll go with a flat tappet and keep an eye on it, run the correct oil in it, and hope for the best. All right, let me go download these 2 videos, and hopefully you guys will have 2 or 3 movies to watch today, man. Full features. Remember, let's keep it positive, man. That's what we're all here for. Positive feedback, positive questions. I love answering questions. I love helping you guys out, and I just don't like hearing about people, you know, leaving negative comments. Not necessarily on my channel, but other people's channels. I think Greg calls them stalkers, or guys that drive pink Cadillacs, or what is it, Corvettes? But anywho, we're all here to learn. If you got something to teach somebody, teach them, because you can't take it with you, guys. I'd love to teach you guys as much as I know. I've taught a few people how to do this that are making a living at it. I told Tommy I'm trying to talk him into coming down and staying with me for a week or 2 and working with him, and I'll take him to work and we'll teach him everything I know, man. I'll fill your head so full it'll explode on the way home. So keep it positive, keep the videos coming, and appreciate all the new subscribers, man. I haven't really thanked everybody. I need to go down, sit there, and type everybody thank you. I'll get to it, but I do appreciate it. It's fun watching this channel grow. Some of you guys are really incredible out there. I mean, some of the videos are kick-ass. Slow SRT, Shut Your Face Garage. I love hearing from those guys. They seem like really good people. And I don't know, it's like I told Tommy Shoe, I'd never ever talked to Musty One on the phone before he got here. He pulled up in the front yard there, and I felt like I knew the guy forever, you know. I mean, it's just like I watch your guys' videos, and I pretty much can tell when you ain't feeling right, when you're depressed, when shit's not going good. It's like, you know, it's like a friend. So let's keep it positive, keep everybody's chin up. Let's do a lot of encouragement, positive stuff, videos on how to do stuff, man. You know, that's great. The more we can show, the better. So I guess the word of the day is be positive. Keep your head up. Shit always gets better.